Does the order that you perform your exercises dictate your strength or your hypertrophy goals? Follow along to find out. In this series of videos, we are looking at what's called an umbrella review. This review is basically looking at a review of all the different systemic reviews involved around exercise and training for specific goals like function and strength gains and hypertrophy. And in today's topic, we are going to be looking at, does it matter what order you perform your exercises in? To help clarify this segment, we need to break down exercise into two different groups. It is either going to be broken down into what we call a multi-joint movement or a compound lift, or a single joint movement or an isolation lift. Basically, the multi-joint compound lift are lifts that are using multiple joints at one exercise. Some good examples of this for the lower body are things like squats or deadlifts. Some good examples of this for the upper body would be things like bench press or lat pulls or pull-ups or push-ups. And so those would be considered multi-joint compound movements. And isolation lifts are basically lifts that we are using one joint at a time. So some good examples of this would be things like tricep extensions, bicep curls, knee extensions, hamstring curls, calf raises. All of these are what we consider single joint exercise groups. And traditionally, the compound lifts are used primarily to drive and build what we call strength. Strength is defined as the amount of force that you are able to produce. And the single joint compound lifts are better used for things like hypertrophy because it's a lot safer to take single joint exercises closer to failure than it is the compound lifts. And this study is basically looking at, does it matter if I start with my compound lifts or my isolation lifts whenever I'm training and trying to get the most out of my training to be strong? And for strength, if your goal is to get strong, it does matter what order you put your exercises in. It is better to put your compound lifts at the beginning of your session and your isolation lifts towards the end. And they theorize that this makes sense because if you're trying to get strong, you want to do your strength movements towards the beginning of your session when you are less fatigued. As your session goes on, theoretically, you're building up fatigue, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to produce a lot of strength towards the end of your training session. So it is better to get those major compound lifts done early in your training session as opposed to waiting towards the end. When it comes to hypertrophy, this study is basically saying that there is no difference on when you put these lifts, whether you start with your compound lifts or end with your compound lifts. It does not matter on the order that you put the exercises if you're looking for true hypertrophy gains. In conclusion, if you are looking to be strong, be sure to start your sessions with the compound movements and finish with your isolation movements. If your goal is hypertrophy, you can do kind of whatever you want. If you want to start with the major compound lifts or if you want to start with the isolation lifts, that is up to you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave those down in the comment section below. And as always, I hope you guys have a great day.